Hello friends, how are you all? Hope everybody is fine staying at their homes. In this video, we are going to learn Class 10 Science Chapter 6 Life Processes Respiration.
Human Respiratory System.
The branch of medicine that deals with diagnosis and treatment of diseases of ears, nose, throat is called as otorhinolaryngology. A pulmonologist is a specialist in the diagnosis and treatment of diseases of the lungs.
The respiratory system is located in the thoracic cavity. Respiration in humans is controlled by medulla oblongata. The human respiratory system consists of nasal cavity, pharynx the throat, larynx the voice box, trachea the windpipe, lungs, bronchi. Respiratory system has some salient features like large surface area, thin and delicate, well protected, richly supplied with blood capillaries. When an organism takes in air, it is known as inhalation. When an organism exhales air, it is known as exhalation. One inhalation plus one exhalation is known as breathing cycle. The main differences between inhalation and exhalation is that when we inhale, the ribs move forward, the lungs volume increases, and the diaphragm flattens. When we exhale out, the ribs move to its original position, the lungs volume decrease, and the diaphragm forms a domed shape.
Mechanism of the respiratory system.
We inhale air through our nostrils. We have a pair of external nostrils opening out above the upper lips. These nostrils lead into the nasal cavity. The nasal chambers are separated from each other by a nasal septum. The air passing through the nostrils is filtered by fine hairs that line the passage. The fine hairs obstruct the fine dust particles and germs without entering in. The inhaled air then passes through the pharynx. The pharynx is a muscular tube that just lies back to the nasal cavity and the oral cavity and superior to the larynx. Its wall is composed of skeletal muscles and it is lined with a mucous membrane. Then the inhaled air passes through the larynx. The larynx is a passageway that connects the pharynx with the trachea. It is a cartilaginous box which helps in sound production. The wall of larynx contains 9 cartilages: thyroid cartilage, epiglottis, cricoid cartilage, pair of arytenoid cartilage, corniculate, cuneiform cartilages. The air from larynx passes into trachea. Trachea is a straight tube located in front of the esophagus. The wall of trachea is composed of C-shaped rings of hyaline cartilage and smooth muscle. The rings of cartilage prevent trachea from collapsing. Trachea then divides into left and right bronchi, where each of them enters the lung. Bronchi, on entering the lungs, divide into smaller and smaller bronchioles. The bronchi are lined up with ciliated columnar epithelial tissues. Then, the inhaled air finally reaches the lungs. Lungs are paired cone-shaped organs that occupy the greater part of thoracic cavity. They are separated by heart and other structures of mediastinum. The right lung is much larger than the left lung. The right lung has 3 lobes: superior lobe, middle lobe, inferior lobe, whereas the left lung has only 2 lobes, the superior lobe and the inferior lobe. Within the lungs, the passage divides into smaller and smaller tubes which finally terminate in balloon-like structures called alveoli. The alveoli provides a surface area where exchange of gases can take place. The walls of alveoli are connected with extensive network of blood vessels. Those are veins, arteries, capillaries. When we breathe in, we lift our ribs and flatten our diaphragm, and the chest cavity becomes larger as a result. Because of this, air is sucked into the lungs and fills the expanded alveoli. During the breathing cycle, when air is taken in and let out, the lungs always contain a residual volume of air so that there is sufficient time for oxygen to be absorbed and for the carbon dioxide to be released. When the body size of animals increase, simple diffusion cannot take care of oxygen delivery to all body parts. If simple diffusion were to move oxygen in our body, it is estimated that it would take 3 years for a molecule of oxygen to get to our toes from our lungs. So, the blood transports the gases between the lungs and the body. Since oxygen is not easily soluble in water, oxygen is transported through red blood corpuscles. Red blood corpuscles contain a red colored iron pigment called hemoglobin, which has a very high affinity for oxygen. Carbon dioxide is more soluble in water than oxygen, and hence it is mostly transported in the dissolved form in our blood. This is about the respiratory system. Hope you liked the video, and for more interesting videos, do subscribe Ganesh Study Rankers. Thanks for watching.